My son's name is Patrick, and he has an addiction problem. And looking back, I knew nothing about addiction, or I didn't know anything about how to cope with it. It was always something that I felt happened to somebody else. My son was my pride and joy, as my daughter was my pride and joy. And I look forward to the time when they were both 18 and I'd be redundant. But here I am now, a senior citizen, and I'm still in the same position as caring for a child who's been affected by addiction. And I think for me, if I could look back now, and I'd say to any young mother, we sort of learn about, what's right for children, what's this and that, but I would never thought to look at the addiction side, or, those sides, things that sort of, alcohol abuse, bullying, all those things that sort of, we think it's not going to happen to us. I think I knew for about 2 years of something upsetting my son, and I kept saying it to my husband. He was alive at the time, but he kept saying that I was just a doting mother. It was part of growing up, that sort of, he was very moody, he was very like a young boy, sort of playing, and all of a sudden he went in with himself. So I look back now and think, why did I have to get, my husband's approval or my daughter's approval that there's something not right going here? That sort of, why did I not act on it? Why did I not go up to the school? And then I discovered that he had been abused by one of the brothers. Not at that time, but I knew there was something wrong, and I went up to the school and they said, oh no, he was fine. But I knew that he was always in trouble. He was always unsettled. So, and his sister was very, very, never in trouble at school. And I think it's very hard for the families when a child gets involved with addiction. Right from the time he was 17, he was out with friends. One night we got a call from the hospital. A friend of my daughter's, she's a nurse there, and she just rang to say that she recognised the address and she recognised whose brother he was, and he was very seriously ill. And I said, is he alive? And she said, I can't tell you anything. We got to the hospital, and the next thing, one of the young lads that was with him came round, and he was in a dreadful state. First of all, they wouldn't let me see him, and then I said, just let me see him. I think there were 3 or 4 doctors around and trying to get him to vomit. He had cut his wrist badly. He was in a dreadful state, and they just rushed me out and said, it's life and death. So that was my first sense of what was to come. He survived it. I sat with him when they couldn't freeze our hands because of all the drink he'd taken, and it was very painful watching the doctors stitch his hands when he was very much awake. But I was so glad he was awake. And so I asked for him to see a psychiatrist because I just wasn't happy, and I hadn't been happy for the last 2 years. They felt it wasn't necessary, it was a once off, it would never happen again. But I think from that day to this day, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't worry about him. So for the next 5 years, I watched him every day, every move he made, and the psychiatrist assured me it would never happen again. But 5 years later, he did it again. And from then on, I can't tell you the number of times he has tried suicide. I don't think anyone was more worse than the other. It's been living with self-harm all the time. It's been a continual, every bank holiday I could guarantee that the ambulance, if not one ambulance, 2 ambulances, and then maybe the ambulance would come and he wouldn't get in to the ambulance, and then the ambulance people were saying, you really need to be in hospital and we can't make you because you're over 21. And then the ambulance people were so nice, they sort of would say to me, you know, if you feel that you need it, ring us again. And I was saying to him, what happens if he doesn't go again? He said, well, just ring us. They were so tolerant, you know, I will never forget it. And mostly in the hospital, they were brilliant. They saved his life so many times. And then it's hurtful seeing the little ones being taken in to see him when he wasn't in any fit state, you know, and I think. So it's really hard, you know, he's been into 4 treatment centres, and he's great when he's in the treatment centre, a bit like when he was in that school where there's boundaries, routine, and he's a very good worker. But if he hasn't got a routine, he's all over the place. He overdosed when he was in the halfway house in Crew Mine, and they dismissed him because of the safety of other people there. But he's been back with me for the last year, and I can honestly say the last year has been the hardest year of my life. The last few months I've just told him I just can't cope with it. I feel as if I'm in the addiction with the isolation, you know, because of the way things are. I think without the family support, without Crew Mine family support, without friends I've met, I don't know what I would do, I don't know what anybody else would do dealing with drugs that didn't have that support. I don't think they'd survive, to be honest.
If you have in any way been affected by issues raised, please contact the Drugs and Alcohol Helpline on 1-800 459 459 or contact drugs.ie.